What's up everybody, welcome to my Warzone mobile settings video. Today we're going to be talking about settings, what you should definitely change, what you can keep, what are optional. I'll let you know what each setting does. That way you can make up your own mind on what you want to do on those. So I'm not going to waste any time, just get right into it. First thing we're going to talk about, obviously we have the graphics, audio, and controls. So the simplest one, graphics. So this comes default on high for my iPhone. I would suggest putting it on mid or low, whatever your device has. And then if you're happy with the frame rate, then slowly increase it. And then if you're still happy with it, then keep that from there on. Next, we have the max frame rate. I like this on uncapped. Again, just test out what works better and what's more smooth for you. Then the field of view. This was the first thing that was like way too zoomed in for me. I was literally like looking down and not being able to see guns that were like at a slight angle, like right next to me. So I had to go ahead and crank this all the way up. Basically with the field of view, the lower it is, the more zoomed in your perspective will be, and it'll be a little bit easier to take fights at range. The higher it is, the wider your perspective is, so you're a little better at close quarters combat and you could see your peripheral vision a little bit easier, but long range might be a little bit tougher for you. So this one really comes down to personal preference. Go ahead and mess around with it to see what just looks right to you. The higher it is, also your character will seem like he's running a little bit faster. Now this is going to affect your sensitivity later on when you're trying to dial in your sensitivity. So I would definitely suggest getting your field of view first, just making sure it looks right to you, and then doing your sensitivity later after that. Now controls, this is where we get into the bread and butter. So on the bottom, we have the four main categories. You have overview, gameplay, interface, and sensitivity. So let's start with the first one, overview. So looks a little complicated, but we'll break it down. Over here, we have control sets. So first thing you want to do is click on that, and then basically click on one that looks like would probably be the closest to what you want to do, button layout wise and automation wise. You can change the automations later in the settings anyways, but just pick what's closest right now. For me, that was pro, because pro already has a couple of buttons on the top. That means you can play claw easier, and that's what I play. So I go ahead and choose pro. Once you choose that, we go into customize HUD to further customize your layout. So each button, you can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, you can change the visibility on them. There are gonna be a lot of buttons that you're not gonna use. So I actually just make them small, do hide button, and I just kind of stack them over here. Just get all the ones you don't need out of the way first of all. Rearrange them how you want to play, 4-finger claw, 3-finger claw, 2 fingers, however you want to do that. Now, with a lot of the buttons, they're going to have variants, right? So a couple of really key ones that I really want you to pay attention to. First of all, your movement stick. Now, by default, your movement stick, you see the little arrow over here? That's how far you have to swipe up to tactical sprint. This starts off by default way the hell up there. Now, you could just literally click on the arrow and slide it down. Slide it down like really low. You can have it like maybe somewhere like around here or so, which is what I like. That way you can slide up a lot shorter so that you can get your tactical sprint earlier, and you can go ahead and get your movement quicker. If we go over to crouch, this is one where it has the variance button. So if you just tap crouch, it'll crouch, but if you hold it, then he'll dive. I like to do split personally. That way there's one button for crouch, one button to lay down. Another one to pay attention to is going to be over here with the weapon slots. Now it comes by default as classic, meaning it's going to show you 2 guns. You click on one to switch guns, but I like minimalist. That way it's just literally showing you the gun you have equipped, and then you could just click on that gun and it'll just switch weapons, switch weapons, switch weapons. Next, if you go up here to your throwables, the variance by default is going to be equip first, then throw it, which means you click on it, he's going to whip out the grenade, and then you click your fire button and he's going to throw it. Way too slow for me. Go to direct throw. That way you literally click the button and he takes out the grenade. You just let it go and he just throws it. Much faster, way better, way better. Okay, after you're happy with what you're doing, you move everything around, you hit the done button to save it. If you're not happy with the change and you don't want to save it, you hit exit, and then it's not going to save it. And then you'll just go back and then you can change it however you want. Okay, next, those 4 boxes in the middle here, I would suggest just put them on custom and custom, because we're going to change each of those settings later on in gameplay anyways. So let's go into gameplay. Now, this is default. Default weapon auto pickup is on. I do like that on, but with a caveat. I go here and I go to initial slots. That way, as soon as you're running around, as soon as you drop, your character will start picking up guns right away, really quickly. But I don't want my character to be picking up other guns throughout the fight, right? I want to be in control of that. Next, we have the auto pickup starter handgun off. It's trash. After that, weapon auto equip on, obviously. Next, we're looking at turn to damage assist and turn corner assistance. I've had success with or without this. This is pretty much personal preference, especially if you have low sensitivity. These could help you out. Turning corners, it just feels a little more unnatural to me, so I keep that off. It just kind of like hugs corners a little more, but it could help you out. And the turn to damage, it could help you out when you're trying to snap to a target. Might be a little more accurate for you. Try it on or off. If you want to stick with just strict muscle memory, keeping it off might be a good idea. Next, we're going to loot auto pickup. I like that on because I like looting as quick as possible, and it picks up only the important things anyways. Auto mantle I keep off because I want full control of my character. If I want to mantle something, I'll mantle it. If I don't, then I don't want to. Under parachute, I like to keep this under manual. Auto will make sure that you won't splat on the ground when you're parachuting. However, the height that they auto deploy is a little bit high. If you're able to get a little bit closer to the ground and then manually deploy it yourself, you'll be able to get onto the ground a little bit quicker. So with skill and practice, you'll be able to get on the ground and get the jump on your opponents more often. Next, the climbing stairs button I keep off because I just go up and down the ladder. Auto crouch I keep off. Auto equip I keep off because I want control of when I want to put on armor. Virtual stick behavior. Now, analog or always sprint. I am a fan of automatic tac sprint. Automatic sprint, that keeps my movement nice and fast. This is up to you. You can keep it under analog if you want. That way you'll slide it up a little bit to move slowly. You'll slide it up far to move fast. That one's up to you. I keep always sprint. Now, sprint to stand is another one that is personal preference. With it on, your character will sprint out of a prone or a crouch right away, but you lose a little bit of like control over your character if you'd like. Keep in mind though, if you have it off, the analog stick goes walk, sprint, tac sprint. So if you get all the way up to the tac sprint, he's still gonna sprint out of it anyways, out of a prone or not. So I personally keep it off. That way I can kind of control. I can inch forward if I want to, but then if I want to tac sprint out of it, I still can anyways. After that, we have accelerated and fixed camera rotation control. This is going to affect your sensitivity horizontally. Fixed means that the screen is going to move that distance no matter how fast you move your thumb over. Accelerated means that if you move your thumb faster, then the screen is actually going to move more. The next three are super important settings. If you play claw in any capacity, you have to turn these off. So ADS button allows rotation, fire button allows rotation, throwback button allows rotation. So what these do is they're mainly for people who play two fingers. That means that if they push down, let's say the fire button, right? They push down the fire button, your character is going to start shooting, and then they keep holding that down and move around so that they can aim. The issue with that is if you're playing claw, say you have your pointer finger on the fire button. Now, if you hold that down, it's going to lock your screen and you're not going to be able to move the screen with your thumb. It's going to expect you to move the screen with your pointer finger. So if you play claw, you have to turn those three off. So if you notice sometimes your aim be locking up, go into settings, make sure all three of those are off. Next, weapon mount movement exit. I keep that on because I want my mount to be as quick as possible when I exit. Same thing with the exit delay. I change that to short. Weapon trigger. I definitely love manual fire. I want to have full control of my character. Auto fire on objects, I also turn that off as well, again for full control. A lot of these are for just having full control of my character. Single shot fire behavior on release, that's default. Definitely on tap. I push a button, I expect him to shoot it. If you play on release, let me know, you might be a weirdo. Aim down sights when firing, also definitely need that off. With it on, your character is going to automatically start to ADS and then fire. I want to be able to hip fire, and then if I want to ADS, I'll ADS. Snap ADS fire button to finger. I keep that off. Again, I play claw and that's the way I do it. Aim down sight behavior. This one's another that's personal preference. I do hold because I have a specific finger that I'm holding for ADS. And then I just let it go and then he'll un-ADS, but you can do toggle if you want. You click it once to ADS, click it again to un-ADS. We go into auto melee. I actually kind of like auto melee. It's a little funny, but it's kind of true. I mean, sometimes a guy just pops up on you and your guy just whacks them in the face. Why not? We keep that on. Sprint door bash I like. With force reload, you definitely want to either keep this off or sprint only. If you have it on as you're reloading, you won't be able to stop reloading for any reason. You have to finish the reload, but I feel like you should be able to want to cancel the reload in case you just want to switch weapons or if someone pops up at you. I haven't noticed the difference between off and sprint only. In either one, my sprint does not cancel my reload, and switching weapons does cancel my reload on both of them. They act the same way. So I don't know if you know anything different, let me know. With force equipping armor, again, the same thing. I want to keep that off because I want to be able to cancel in case an enemy pops up or I want to do something different. Equip all armor plates. I like to keep this on. This one's personal preference. If you keep it off, you just hit it once and he'll put on one plate. But if you turn it on, then you'll hit it once and then he'll just put on the remaining plates that he needs, and then you can run around and do whatever else you need to do. Aim assist on, obviously. Vehicle controls, personal preference. Gyroscope, I don't play with gyroscope, but basically that means if you move your phone up or down or left or right, it's going to move your aim. So some people like to compensate for the recoil by moving their phone. And then everything else looks good. We're moving on to interface. Okay, interface. Left fire display. This is again for people who don't play claw, who play like two fingers. If you want it on, you'll have a separate button for hip fire and then ADS fire. That way, those people can choose whether they want ADS and fire or just hip fire. And then I usually have it off because I play claw. Fire buttons when auto fire. Again, that's for people who do auto fire, which I do not. I want complete control of my character. Also, I don't like auto fire because it takes a second when you put your crosshairs on it for it to register, oh, it's on a target and then fire. You would be much better off just turning this off and then learning how to control your character precisely and fire when you want to fire. Show ammo. These two are personal preference on the control settings. I like them separated. That way I can kind of see the ammo count a little bit better. It'll be bigger. Or integrated means the ammo count will just be inside the box of your switch weapons. Hit marker display. I do keep this on. They are kind of ginormous though, so I put them on small and then I put this down to 55. Auto sprint lock. So I keep it as floating. What this does is you'll be running out in the field or wherever, and you can move your joystick up and then it'll lock it and he'll keep sprinting. That way I like to either go into my map or go into my backpack and then drop things or do whatever I need to do, and my character will still be sprinting. If you have it off, then he won't lock to sprint. So I like to auto sprint sometimes, especially in BR. Fixed joystick, I keep it off, and that's basically if you keep it off, wherever you land your thumb onto the screen, that's where the joystick will start, and then you move from there. So try both, whichever one you like better. Stick with that one. I don't do invert at all. Resupply alert. I don't need anything popping up to let me know. I keep that off. Reload cancel, also I keep that off. And there we go, that's interface. Okay, and now we get to sensitivity, the most Y tab that they made. All right, we'll go one by one. So first of all, if you look in the middle, controller sensitivity, these don't matter. That's only if you're playing controller. So I'm just gonna put them on 1. We're not looking at those numbers at all. We are looking at aim sensitivity horizontal, vertical multiplier, and then global ADS sensitivity here. Aim sensitivity horizontal. This is going to be the base sensitivity that everything else is based off of. So this is the first one you want to dial in. This is how fast your character moves left and right. Then you want to jump down to the global ADS sensitivity multiplier. This is the multiplier after your character zooms in ADS. The biggest, craziest thing is 3.0 global ADS multiplier. That's crazy fast. That means that your character moves faster when you're zoomed in than it does when you're hip firing, which is backwards. You want it to be the other way around. If you want it matched up perfectly, you want that at a 2.0. That's going to be the same speed of hip fire as it is ADS. By default, the console and PC versions are usually at 1.0, which is about half. So that's generally a good area you want to be in. I like 0.90. Anywhere between about 0.80, 0.90, 110, somewhere around there is usually good to go. Now, after you get that done, I would go back and fix the vertical multiplier. If you want it the same exact speed, you put the vertical multiplier at 1.0. But since the phone is rectangle, to me, it just feels like really fast and it's hard to control. You want it to be accurate, You want to be able to control the recoil, and you want to be able to track targets easily. So this is the main one to move around, to dial in your recoil control and to dial in your tracking. Now, here's the thing with the per zoom. If you find your global ADS sensitivity multiplier you like is 0.90, if you keep this ADS sensitivity per zoom off, it's going to apply that 0.90 to every zoom. The problem is it doesn't account for how far the gun is zoomed in. So if you keep this off, it's going to apply 0.90 to everything, which means you can barely move your sniper rifle. It's not going to move. The crosshairs are barely going to move. The 2x, the 3x, the 4x, everything feels just terribly slow. So you have to turn this on. Now, once you turn this setting on, this global ADS sensitivity multiplier doesn't do anything. It's not going to affect your movement at all, because now you're going per zoom, right? So what you want to do is go per zoom. I told you I like this one at 90. Then you go just test out each one, just see what works right for you. So I like 0.90, 170, 170 again, 220, 250, and then 550. So that's just what works right for me. Like I said, you're gonna have to change per zoom, and you have to do this or else your scopes are all gonna be all wrong. Next, ADS transition timing. By default, it's on gradual, which means it's gonna gradually decrease from your hip fire to your ADS sensitivity. Any one of these three are good. It just depends on what you're used to. By default, a lot of people like instant. That means that the instant that you hit the button, it changes from your hip fire sensitivity down to your ADS sensitivity. I personally like after zoom. This means that after the gun is fully zoomed in, that's when it lowers down the sensitivity. And again, I'm only working with 2 values. That way it's good for muscle memory. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my other video if you want me to go in depth on the sensitivity for you guys. Have a good night. Thank you.